This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, the place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by host me, Tai Tiger. Today we're diving into Power Rangers Universe 113, my very first universe with my first story, Power Rangers Future Foundation. Today we're diving into something new. See, Xander left the group in chapter 36 of Power Rangers Future Foundation, and he plans on going and collecting some of the fellow New Generation Rangers to help him defeat one of Lucicon's allies, his adopted brother called Ursa, who Xander has a very strong aggression with, and wants to seek revenge. So without further ado, let's dive in.
Welcome to Universe 113. Many tales are told here. Some you may recognize, like the Power Rangers Future Foundation. Some are new. This universe was separated into two parts, yin and yang. One is normal, the other hosts a war between technology and magic. Here we find more Ranger teams, a few Kamen Riders, and the introduction to a new level of Ranger power, known as the Apex Grid. Get ready for tales beyond any other as we dive into Power Rangers Universe 113.
Power Rangers Future Generations, Chapter 1, The Start of Something New. Xander woke up in his brother's old apartment. He stroked his eyes and then picked up an Allen key and tightened the bolt in his arm. He then got dressed and left the apartment. He headed to Mel's house and found her tinkering with something.
Hey, did you manage to get in contact with CJ?
Xander asked. Yeah, sweet girl. Awesome glasses. She's kinda hot too. Smart. She gave me the schematics you asked for. I'm working on it. You need to upgrade your watch thingy. Mel replied.
Dante, get a couple communicators so I can give them out. I need them all synced.
Xander explained. Fair enough. Hey, have you spoken to Ivy at all? Mel asked. Ivy was the younger sister to Izzy, the Yellow Cyberforce Ranger, who went missing with some of the other Rangers a few months ago. Ivy was now the next Yellow Cyberforce Ranger.
No, but I plan on seeing her soon,
Xander replied. Suddenly, Mel's computer started blinking. Mel checked it out and saw a monster attacking Blessington. That's your key, not mine, Mel chirped.
Highway Road. Got it.
Xander nodded, then he hit his communicator and teleported away. Xander teleported onto the highway. All the cars had come to a massive halt as a car monster stood there. The car monster looked at Xander. Got a problem, ugly? The monster called out.
Ugly? Please, looked in the rearview mirror lately?
Xander chuckled. Xander then pulled out his Master Morpher and he held it out.
Dragon Zord!
Xander called out, and the Dragon Coin appeared in the Master Morpher, and in a flash of green light, he morphed into the Green Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. The Green Ranger ran at the car monster and threw a punch, but the car monster ran at the Ranger and halted, and the momentum surged off of it and became an energy wave, which struck the Ranger head-on, and sent him off his feet, and he crashed onto the ground. The Green Ranger stood, pulled out his dagger, and ran at the monster once again, and slashed the monster twice, before the monster was able to throw a punch, hitting the Ranger. He stumbled back, then suddenly a girl jumped in, spun around, and kicked the monster, before backflipping out of reach. The Green Ranger jumped back and landed next to her. Hey, seemed like you needed some help, the girl said. The girl was Ivy.
Thanks for the help.
The Green Ranger nodded. Ivy pulled back her sleeve, revealing her morpher.
Wow, easy. I can handle it.
The Green Ranger snapped. Hey, I can help. I promised my sister I'd do good. Ivy sighed. The Green Ranger sighed back, then shook his head.
Okay, fine. But when I say back off, you back off.
The Green Ranger ordered. Yeah, okay, I got it. Ivy nodded. Then Ivy waved her hand over her morpher. Scan DNA. Ivy called out, and her morpher started glowing yellow. Cybercharge! She called out and slammed her hand on her morpher, and in a flash of yellow, she morphed into the Yellow Cyberforce Ranger. Then the Green Ranger held out his power morpher.
White Ranger power!
he called out, and then the White Ranger coin appeared and in the morpher, and in the flash of white light, he morphed into the White Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. The two Rangers ran at the monster, and the monster started running towards the two Rangers. He came to an instant halt, releasing the momentum in an energy wave. The White Ranger pulled out Saba and used it to block the energy wave. The Yellow Ranger flipped over it and ran at the monster again. Then she summoned her Cyber Shuriken and threw it at the monster. It hit the monster and it bounced off of it. Then it flew back and the Yellow Ranger jumped up and kicked the shuriken back at the monster, striking it a second time. Then the White Ranger came up to the monster, flipped over the monster, and slashed the monster in the back. Then, with Saba, he kicked it in the back, and then the Yellow Ranger ran up to it, punched it several times before both the White and Yellow Rangers slashed the monster. The monster fell back and exploded. The two Rangers cheered and high-fived each other, and then they both demorphed. "That was awesome!" Ivy cheered.
Yeah, you handled yourself pretty well there for a noob.
Xander mocked. "Thanks. So, that Mel girl mentioned something about you building a team?" Ivy noted.
Yeah, my best friend is building a team of rangers. I'm helping at the same time. I am clearing up the mess of a monster that I have a grudge with.
Xander explained. "Oh, okay. Well, count me in. They've got my sister." Ivy grinned.
You sure?
Xander asked. "Yes, I want to make my sister proud. I want to make sure that when she comes back, she doesn't have to jump straight back into this whole ranger gig," Ivy stated with a new form of confidence.
Okay, count yourself a member.
Xander chuckled. Both of them strolled off the road and down onto the path. They kept on walking until they entered the town. They got themselves a coffee to go and sat on a bench. "So, if Dante called his team the Future Foundation, are we the Future Foundation? Like, do we get our own name?" Ivy asked.
I was thinking the future generations. What you think?
Xander asked with a small smile. "It's kind of strange. Like, odd, but I like it." Ivy shrugged. Then Xander remembered something. He pulled a watch and handed it to Ivy.
I almost forgot. Nell made this for you. That way, we can keep in tight communication with each other in case of, well, you know, Power Ranger business.
Xander said with a slight chuckle. "Oh wow, communication device. That's so cool. I can't wait to show..." "Izzy," Ivy said solemnly.
We know who took your sister, and between me and Dante, we will find her.
Xander said as he placed his hand on her shoulder. "Thanks. The Morphin Master was right. He said I was going to find a team to help me," Ivy said with a weak smile. Then she took the watch and strapped it to her wrist.
Well, I'm glad you're part of the team. You handled it yourself, and you thought outside of the box.
Xander said, nudging her in the arm. "You don't have to hang out with me, you know," Ivy said.
I know, it's fine. Got nowhere else to be. Trouble usually finds me anyway.
Xander said with a dorky smile. "So, you mentioned there was more of us?" Ivy asked.
Yep, there's a few. My friend CJ sent Mel over the map that indicates where all the morphing grid points are. That indicates people using the grid.
Xander explained. "More Power Rangers, huh?" Ivy replied. Xander nodded. "You know what? You're kinda cool, Xander," Ivy said.
Yeah, I know I am.
Xander nodded. Ivy then sat there and chuckled.
Calling all seekers of the supernatural, all those drawn to the unknown. I am Cosplay Dude 637, and I'm here to introduce you to the podcast that will redefine your understanding of the extraordinary. Welcome to The Order, the podcast. Existing inside the Order, there is the legend of the Chosen One. Join Eric Von Connors, a half-vampire, half-angel, alongside his remarkable team, Van Helsing, Bella Helsing, and Tasha Wolfsbane. Together, they defend the world from the forces of evil while trying to lead somewhat normal lives. Why should you tune in? Because The Order is not just a podcast. It's an immersive journey into a world where supernatural beings, ancient prophecies, and everyday struggle coexist. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform. Search for The Order, the podcast, and join me, Cosplay Dude 637, as we unravel the mysteries, explore the extraordinary, and embark on a supernatural adventure like none other. Again, that is The Order, the podcast, where the extraordinary becomes the everyday. Subscribe, share, and let the journey into the unknown begin. Happy listening.
Ursa stood on a mountain cliff. Blessington stood there down below. Ursa stood there watching the hectic town. Soon, my love, you will be revived. And I think Blessington will be the first to go. Like Angel Grove. Nothing but dust. Ursa cackled. He then raised his hand and the ground started shifting. Several thousand years ago, the samurai monster was defeated. It was strong, can only be defeated by gold. I shall raise him back from the dead, and send him off to find Xander to keep him occupied. Ursa grinned as the monster climbed out of a hole which formed in the ground. Then, I can revive you, my love. Ursa sighed. In the land without time and space, William Cranston sat there watching his portal monitors. The yin side of the universe 113 had started. Luca had become the Quantum Ranger. Dante and his team on the yang side of the universe had made contact with William's other champions in other universes. Takeshi's Champion Universe 19 and the Multiverse Protectors when the champions leave. Then, the Kamen Rider game had just started when the veil broke between the two sides. Soon enough, the veil would be down completely, and it would be nothing more than the separation between negative and positive, and everything will fall into place. Takeshi and William had been working together rather well. Dealing with each other was now just a minor issue, as they had merged plans, making it easier to round up both sets of champions. William sat there and watched. He sat there quite proud. Other than the hiccup with CJ, everything was going to plan. Xander was on his own quest, collecting some of the other Rangers together so he can get revenge. William stood up and walked over to Universe 113's chessboard. Now, the side of good had 3 parts of it. Lucicon's chess piece was in the lead of the villain's black chess pieces. William had been playing a game of chess to symbolize the small things. Now it was time to play a bigger game on a universal scale. And there we have it, guys. Our first chapter to a brand new tale within Power Rangers Universe 113. Like I said, this is Xander's story, so big shout out to Xander. He was actually a real person, by the way. He's Cosplay Dude 637's son, so Cosplay Son 637, if you will. He's on TikTok and he has his own podcasts and stuff. Just to note, one of them is Neek Talks. That's one of his podcasts. He's also just started up his own Power Ranger story, so when that's out, I'll also give that out a massive shout out as well. Make sure you check out the rest of Power Rangers Universe 113, and then of course a big shout out to Mark the Red Cornish Ranger and his podcast Nerds Through Comics, and Cosplay Dude 637 and his podcast Power Rangers Universe 19. Both the podcasts have their own universes, Universe 20 and Universe 19, where you'll find more Power Rangers and Kamen Rider stories and other stories that are linked to mine. Us 3 are the 3 Ranger Bros, and it's a fantastic studio, so you might want to go check it out. A big shout out to Zero to Hero podcast and their network and their community. A big shout out to the Author's Crown YouTube channel, and a big shout out to If You Give a Data podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the other Tiger Tales channels as well. Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, Tiger Tales Game Over, and Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins. Each channel hosts other fanfiction and original stories told by me, so you might want to go check them out. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I shall see you guys real soon.